Hello and welcome to Improbable Things. I'm J. Grace Pennington, and this is my podcast where I share 6 improbable thoughts before breakfast, which for the purposes of this podcast consists of 6 thoughts about reading, writing, or just storytelling in general. So I am up early, got my 6 things, had to take off last week because of a cold, but my voice is mostly back to normal. So now I have 6 things to share with you this morning, and I am ready to get started. So number 1, I did release my book, Firmament Progenitor. I guess a couple weeks ago at this point. I believe I shared that with y'all last time, and it's been doing well. It's had, quite a few sales. We got up to number 30 last I checked in one of its categories on Amazon. I think it was maybe in Christian, teen, young adult, science fiction or something. There's a few different categories it's in. But yeah, it's been doing pretty well. I haven't had any reviews on it yet. But I'm excited to see people reading it. And if you have read it, please don't forget to leave an Amazon review, because Amazon reviews are just such a big deal for writers. They really contribute to how well your book can do on Amazon. And the last several books in my series really need some. So even if it's just a little line, just, I liked it or whatever, it's super helpful to have those reviews and those ratings. But anyway, I'm very excited to see that it's been selling. There was a couple people at some point that I could tell had gone and just bought through the entire series, because I had at least 2 sales on every book in the series, all the way from 1 through 10. So that was really fun to see. And just to know someone's, a couple people are going to be taking that journey that has taken me over a dozen years to get this far. So yeah, it's been doing well. The number 2, I am continuing to write 6 days a week on the next Firmament book, which is called Time Stream, and I am over 20,000 words on it. I'm actually should be hitting 25,000 in the next couple days, which is a good bit ahead of schedule, which is nice. And it's always such a weird dynamic with a first draft, because it seems so bad. Like every book I've written, there are varying degrees. Now, some have seemed worse than others, but they always seem very bad. At least for me, when you're writing that first draft. And then invariably, again, there are different degrees, but I will go back, a while after the first draft has been finished and look over it and go, actually, this is not that bad. It obviously needs work. But so now that that's happened to me many, many times, I try to just keep that in mind as I'm pushing through, feeling like the quality of this story and the writing is terrible, to tell myself, I know that I'm going to go back over this and it's going to be fine. It just feels really bad right now. And there are things I know will need to be improved, but it's all right for now. A first draft is not supposed to be perfect. It's okay. So overall, it's going well. I haven't hit any spots where I feel stuck in the story, even though, again, the quality of the writing feels absolutely awful to me. The story itself seems to be moving along at a pretty good pace, which is really nice, because it's hard to add on top of the feelings that the writing is terrible and what you're doing is pointless, and then you add on top just getting stuck somewhere in some kind of plot hole or something you can't figure out. So at least I haven't had that yet, but we're only about halfway through, so we'll see. So number 3, I used to have several DVDs of the great courses, was really into them, really enjoyed the ones I had, but then eventually it got where there was just not a really good opportunity for me to watch them on DVD, because, I have kids around, my computer doesn't have a DVD drive anymore, I had had them for years and had never been able to finish watching them, so I got rid of those. But I still just love the great courses. I just love learning about various things. So many just interesting things out there. So I found out that one of the libraries that I have a library card at has or participates, I guess, in a streaming service called Canopy with a K. And it has movies and stuff like that, movies and shows and stuff on there. But I've never watched any of those. I just found that they have a lot of the great courses on there for absolutely free. And so I've been watching through just various ones. I think I may have mentioned at some point because I watched through one called How to Write best-selling fiction, I believe, and it was really good, super helpful. And then I watched through one about Jane Austen. I watched one about insects. Just again, I love learning about things, so really anything that even moderately catches my interest, I really am just like interested to learn about. So I've been doing one lately on astronomy, and most of these courses are around maybe like 22, 24 lectures long. Well, this astronomy one is 96 lectures long, so it's going to take a while to get through. Plus, it's a little heavier on the, like most of them, they are videos, but you can just listen. Like the Jane Austen one, there was no reason for me to actually watch the video as I was going through it. But on the astronomy one, a lot of the stuff you really do need to watch it because he's giving some kind of demonstration of something about, where the stars are in the celestial hemisphere at different times of year, or why the angle of light waves will make the colors act in certain ways, things like that that are a little hard to wrap your mind around if you're not super familiar with those things, which is where I am. I have kind of a very basic knowledge of this stuff, but this is so much more in depth, and I'm absolutely loving it. And it's so relevant because of the firmament series, and because a lot of times when I will research and learn about something scientific, especially astronomical, it will end up, making some kind of major plot point in the series or some kind of huge part of the world building or the story that I'm currently in, because it's just so fascinating and because it makes sense. They're out in space, they're experiencing these things firsthand. And so I have been just super excited to go through it. Like, God's creation is so phenomenal. Like, the design and the beauty and the intentionality is so absolutely mind-boggling. And these professors are evolutionists, and it's so hard for me to even comprehend how that can be when they look at the intricacies and brilliance of these designs. And so that's a little bit sad going through it, but still the information about, in this case, just like what's out there, like so many things I just always see it too. Like, there's so many things that we didn't even know until recently, and there's so many things that we still don't know. So many things. There are lots of assertions that he'll make that I am just wondering, like, how do we know that though? Like, we look through a telescope and we make certain guesses about, how far away a star is, or what a nebula is made of, or whatever, stuff like that. But, how much of that do we actually know, and how much of it is a, well-educated guess? But there's just so much beauty and order and God's artistic handiwork out there that was just, made out of his creativity, I believe, and that, whether or not we see and appreciate it is still valuable just because it is an outpouring of his creativity and his majesty. So anyway, I'm a huge nerd about this stuff, obviously, but I think it's going to really be helpful continuing over this last half of the series of my firmament series, because it just kind of gets me rejuvenated to think about space and about exploration and about all of these things. So anyway, I'm really loving it. It is going to take me a long time to get all the way through, but that's okay. No rush. I'm just trying to learn about interesting things. So number 4, I think I've told y'all that my youngest, who is 14 months, she is so into books. Like, if I put her down, after a nap or a meal, she goes straight to one of our bookshelves and grabs a couple books and just carries them around, gives them to people, sits down and looks through them. She'll gasp at the pages like they're very exciting. It's so cute. And so she's very into books, and it's sweet, and I love it. But then the other day, I had been making lunch, and I wasn't sure where she was, so I went to go check on her because she was being very quiet, which moms know can be not a good sign. Like, why is there so much silence? But in this case, it was fine. I go in my girl's bedroom to find her sitting in front of their full-length mirror with books in her hand, and she's showing the books to her reflection. Like just holding them up and showing them to herself like she shows them to us. And it was so adorable. Like she just is so excited about the books. She has to show them to somebody. And she was like, oh, here's a little baby. I'll show this baby the books. It was too cute. So I managed to sneak in a couple pictures of her doing it for the memories. But I love how much my girls love books, even if they really are not yet capable of understanding anything about them. She just probably, she sees us very into books. And so, she wants to be a part of that. Like, she's got to be one of the big kids. So number 5, am I currently reading? I'm still trying to get through a bunch of my books that I need to see, whether I'm going to keep or not. And so I just finished The Eagle of the Ninth by Rosemary Sutcliffe. And this was a book that I came upon it as I was cleaning out books from my parents' storage, and I had absolutely no idea when or where or why I had gotten this book. I had kind of a vague feeling that maybe one of my friends from like a decade ago had recommended it to me, but I could not remember who or anything about the book whatsoever. Like the title and the author name sounded familiar for sure, but that was all. Like just sort of rang a bell. I had no idea what it was, what to expect, why I had it, where I got it, nothing. So I just figured, I'll read through this. And it was interesting. I found after, when I went to put it in Goodreads, quite a few of my friends in there have rated it very highly, so I'm guessing it was recommended to me by someone. But I just had such mixed feelings about it. I'm probably not going to keep it or necessarily pursue more of the books in the series, although I'd be open to reading some, but it wouldn't be a high priority. And the thing is, like, it was definitely beautifully written. Like, her writing style was just an absolute pleasure to read, because it was just, I don't know, just the way it flowed and the way she described things and just the words used. Like, it was beautiful. And there was a lot of beauty in the story as well. And maybe part of this is because I went into it with no idea what to expect. I didn't even know, like, is this a Christian book? Is this a young adult book? Like, I just didn't know. And it's, spoiler, it's not a Christian book. But it just ended up feeling so empty to me. Like, I finished reading it and I just felt this sense of, like, why did any of that matter? Not any of it. Like, there are definitely good things, and there are some very, there are some relationships that the development of them, and, there were really, it's almost even hard to explain, because I liked the characters and the relationships, and I enjoyed reading about them, but there was still something sort of missing. Again, with the characters, like, I liked them, but they didn't have that ring of 100% reality to me. But more than that, like, again, because, like I said, it's definitely not a Christian story, which is fine. I can read books that are not Christian, and, they can be very good and have a lot to say. But in this case, there were a lot of times that there's praying to pagan gods and mention of, pagan religions and things like that. And so that was just sort of sad, especially when you care about characters, even though they're not real. There's a part of you that wants them to know the truth. And so, but more than that, this whole story, is him, this past Roman soldier who's been injured and wants to honor, the memory of his father and his father's legion, who was lost, and who lost, like, their eagle that they carry into battle, and the eagle has been lost, and so he wants to find the eagle, for the honor of his father and his father's legion that has been, disbanded because it was all lost. And him and, his friend and former servant go through so many, dangers and adventures to try to accomplish this. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just kept feeling like, why is this important? Like it felt like I do believe in honor, and I do believe in that symbols are important and things like that. But I guess I just don't feel that something inanimate like that, something that's, you know, just in the past, I don't know, I didn't feel that that was worth risking your life and the life of your best friend over. And I didn't feel that that really was bringing any added meaning or significance to his life or the life of others, or really was helping his country in a concrete way. Like I just didn't see. I just reached the end of the story and with this feeling of like, why? Like just this sort of emptiness. And so that was just a bummer because it was a beautiful journey in a lot of ways. And like I said, I'd be open to reading more because of the quality of the writing style. But just knowing that that's the perspective that the characters are coming from, I don't know, it just bummed me out, I guess. And so I'll keep you all updated if I decide to read more at some point. There's just so much else to read. That's the thing, that reading more of them is going to go way down on the priority list. But, I definitely might do it at some point because she really does, the author has an amazing gift for writing. And that is a pleasure, even if the story just doesn't end up being my favorite. So number 6, my husband and I finished the show that we were watching a couple weeks ago, and there was another show he wanted to watch through that was only on Netflix, and we canceled our Netflix a while back, just trying to save money, and we weren't using it that much, so we decided to get it just for like a month or two to watch through this show. So then I figured I better watch anything else that I wanted to watch that was on Netflix over the next, again, month or two. So my brother had recommended at some point that I watch Cobra Kai, and I've heard a lot about it. I've heard a lot of people say it was really good, and that is, only on Netflix. So I thought, I'll give that a shot, and I've really been enjoying it. And the one thing is that I did not grow up watching The Karate Kid. I've only seen it once, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. So it doesn't have this huge nostalgic, value for me. But I did like the movie, and so I think I have enough appreciation to like the idea and the thought behind it. But what I'm just fascinated by watching through it. So when you do either a sequel or a prequel, you're kind of up against certain challenges where you are wanting to stay connected to and honor the original source material, but without being too derivative. Like you can't just repeat yourself over and over. So you don't want to completely, distance yourself and sever from the original story, but you also can't just do the same thing over again. Like, so there's always that tension and that challenge that's very difficult to do. Like I struggle with that a lot writing the different books in these series. Like several times I've caught, like she is doing this for like the 6th or 7th time in this series, things like that. So what I've been fascinated by watching Cobra Kai is all the just subverting expectations, role reversals, things like that keep you on your toes. So like, as an example, the original movie, you have Johnny is this like rich kid, popular, big bully, whatever. And then Daniel LaRusso, poor kid, really struggles, picked on a lot, in the poor side of town, all those things. And then you open up Cobra Kai with, they're both now adults, and I absolutely love how they have brought back, all the original actors. It's really nice that they were able to make that happen. But you open it up with this reversal where Johnny is now, alone, poor side of town, run down, nobody likes him, etc. And then you have Daniel LaRusso now, the bigwig in town, very successful, sort of living the dream life, even a little bit of a bully in certain cases. Although, again, the other thing about it is that it's really not that simple because they are still the same people, and Daniel still does have this, first of all, you kind of get a closer look and realize that maybe he's not living the dream life as much as you thought, and you see that he does have that sense of, morality and kindness and, honor and all that in him still. And then you look at Johnny and see, even though he's struggling and it's not as black and white as he's just a bully, and he does have some sense of goodness and morality that he's sort of trying to reclaim, trying to get his life together, but he is still a bully in a lot of ways, and he still has all these demons and this feeling that he has to, push people around to get ahead. So it's really, there's sort of this constant, you don't really know which way it's going to go, because it's not like in real life, it's not really black and white. There's not, the good guy and the bad guy and the oppressor and the oppressed. Like, it's not like that in life. And I'm having a hard time as I'm watching the show, predicting what's going to happen and what people will choose, because it's complicated. There's a lot of factors. You don't always know what someone will decide or what direction they'll go in real life, and they are capturing that well in the show. So I just finished season 1 last night, so I'll be curious moving forward to see where they go, but I'm really enjoying it, like as a sequel to the original and all the nods to that original movie, and that's been really fun. And again, just the subversion of expectations, and they're doing that thing that I know you have to do, but I still hate it at the same time, where, every time things are finally starting to look up, something absolutely horrible happens, and you just have that no kind of feeling, which just feels like the worst. And yet that is what gives stories their value, in so many ways. So that's tough, but good. So I'll continue watching that, and if I have more thoughts about it, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Well, thank you so much for listening. I'm continuing to get my old episodes up on YouTube. So again, if you would not mind subscribing to my YouTube channel, J. Grace Pennington, I did just also record some new content that is not related to the podcast to put up there sometime soon. So things will be happening over there, and I am just putting up a couple of my old episodes every day to try to get my backlog on there, and then eventually new episodes will be appearing there as well, hopefully in the next few weeks at the latest. So check out that if you have a chance, and then again, please let me know if you have any thoughts, if you have some things that you've enjoyed studying, just for fun, just for the joy of it, not for school, but just for the love of learning. If you've read The Eagle of the Ninth, really would be interested to hear your thoughts, and if you had a different reaction to it than I did. And then also on Cobra Kai, I would love to talk to anybody that has enjoyed that series, but don't give me any spoilers past season 1, because that's where I'm at. So again, thank you everyone so much for listening. Hope that everyone has a great day and a great weekend ahead, and stay improbable. Bye.